Live from our 7 Tasmania studios, your nightly news with Rachel Williams begins now. The state government is facing an unprecedented situation following the sudden retirement of long-serving MP Ian Hidding yesterday. The loss of his vote in Parliament just 2 weeks out from a scheduled sitting week created the very real prospect the government would lose control of the House of Assembly and its fragile majority.
This is the failed campaign video of the man now most likely to be Tasmania's newest politician.
Talk about beauty and the beast.
But if John Tucker is elected, it won't be soon enough to ensure the government has majority if Parliament resumed as scheduled on March 12. Currently down one member following yesterday's shock retirement of Ian Hidding.
We will of course seek a pair from the opposition parties, which I would think in the circumstances it is entirely appropriate to grant.
Labor playing coy if they would grant the Liberals a pair, sidelining one of their own members to keep voting numbers as they were.
I'm seeking advice from the Clerk of the Parliament and from the Electoral Commission about what our responsibilities are, what our obligations are and what the precedents are, so to make sure that we make informed decisions.
Someone's not actually in the Parliament, so there's an argument that they're not actually pairing anybody specific, and that's an unusual situation.
If Parliament did resume as scheduled, Labor and the Greens combined would have more members on the floor than the government until the replacement arrived, meaning for a short window there would be potential for them to pass legislation over the government's head.
We will not be moving a no confidence motion or supporting a no confidence motion because the people of Tasmania should not be punished further.
If Labor doesn't grant a pair, they would have to look at whether they could shut down the Parliament for a few days to avoid that situation.
Leaving Tasmanian politics in an unprecedented state of unknown.
And with breaking news on this story, our political reporter Michelle Wisby joins us live. Michelle, what extreme measure is the government taking now?
Rachel, only minutes ago the government revealed its plan to now delay the start of Parliament by a week, pushing back the starting date to March 19. It says it's received information from the Electoral Commission which revealed Mr Hidding's seat would not be filled in time for the original sitting schedule. The Premier saying it's the most appropriate course of action, as with the new member in the House, the Parliament would reflect last year's election results. He's also assured us there will be no reduction in sitting days due to the change. But despite the late solution today, Rachel, it's yet another headache for an already bruised second-term government.
OK, thank you for that breaking news there, Michelle. Michelle Wisby joining us there live. The operator of Tasmania's Brightside Farm Sanctuary is calling for answers after a roadside slasher ignited a grass fire which tore through their Brighton property yesterday. It's forced her to relocate the rescue horses that she had on the site, and she says they're lucky to be alive.
For 9 years, this Brighton property has homed these horses, gifting them a second chance at life.
So they're horses that have either been starved and could barely stand up, or horses that have been rescued from human grade and pet meat grade slaughterhouses and sale yards.
But yesterday it took a fast-moving grass fire less than 2 hours to turn most of the property from green to black.
400 acres and probably 350's been burnt. It happened so quickly.
Normally a peaceful setting for the herd, yesterday they fled for their lives as the flames took hold. The TFS forced to send in reinforcements from the sky in order to contain the blaze.
So lucky to survive. If they'd been in one of the back paddocks, they wouldn't have been able to get out. So they would have been burnt alive. I know the neighbour had sheep. He was trying to get out of the way. There was another neighbour with cattle.
The TFS confirming overnight that the fire was ignited accidentally by a roadside slasher cutting grass along the Midland Highway around 2 p.m. and being operated by a Department of State growth contractor. Brightside's founder now calling for some accountability and raising questions as to why they were performing the task as temperatures in the area reached above 30 degrees.
You can't just slash along the road and then start a fire and move on to the next place and leave a trail of disaster behind you. I mean, All the boundary fences to neighbouring farms, all the internal fences, they're all gone.
And with their food source now burnt to the ground, Brightside today began the long and difficult task of relocating the horses to new locations around the state.
We've had some offers of donations, some very generous offers of donations, so it's a very nice feeling and comfortable feeling knowing that we've got people out there that want to help.
The Department of State Growth was contacted for comment. Tom Cooper, 7 Tasmania News.
Emergency crews are on the scene of a fire at the Norski Skog paper mill in the Derwent Valley. The fire service says a blaze broke out in a chipper conveyor around 3 o'clock this afternoon. 10 trucks were called to the scene, as well as the facility's own firefighting resources. The fire is still classified as going, but crews have extinguished most of it. No injuries have been reported. International experts have travelled to Port Arthur to help the historic site deal with an increasing number of visitors. The World Heritage Area saw more than 100,000 visitors in December and January and recorded a yearly increase of almost 10%.
On a dreary day like today, flocks of visitors are still drawn to one of Australia's premier convict attractions. Along with many World Heritage sites, it's seeing an increase in visitation as global tourism booms.
The tourists bring value to the site in the sense that they learn about World Heritage, they go and tell other people about World Heritage, they tell people about the importance of our history.
The managers of Port Arthur enlisting the help of experts in preservation as they plan for continuing growth. They come with experience from Egypt and China, where other World Heritage sites have struggled to cope.
It's extremely important to get ahead of the curve. This is the problem at so many World Heritage sites, is they're in a reactive mode all the time.
In the last financial year, 360,000 visitors poured through the site, an almost 10% increase. The biggest market growth, a 60% rise in visitors from China. Cruise ships brought 50,000 people to Port Arthur, but the experts say they're a good example of how to manage large crowds.
It's not as though you're suddenly swamped by 4,000 people coming off a cruise ship all at once, because the tenders bring them to and fro from the ship here. So there's a sort of control and there's a managed flow through here. So it's a good thing.
The Management Authority is set to complete a carrying capacity study and sustainable visitor strategy by the end of the year. That will help them understand visitor movements and how to protect and preserve the World Heritage values at this historic site.
There absolutely is a danger because visitors have an impact in a physical sense on the physical fabric of sites. And then there's the danger that too much tourism impacts on the experience of the visitor.
One of the main pressure points at the moment are on utility services.
There is a limit to water and sewerage and so on, which are things we're looking at and working out into the future. But apart from that, we don't believe that at the moment there's a significant impact on the heritage values.
Michael Breen, 7 Tasmania News.
Developers are planning an appeal after their controversial luxury camp proposal in Tasmania's wilderness was knocked back. The Central Highlands Council voted against a development application for a standing camp at Halls Island in Lake Malbina. The proposal included the use of helicopters to access the site, triggering anger and protest from environmentalists and recreational fishers. The project had been given the green light by state and federal authorities under the altered Wilderness World Heritage Area Management Plan. A team of Hobart businesses have joined forces in an attempt to clean up the heavily polluted River Derwent. Around 30 volunteers gathered at Prince of Wales Bay today for the annual campaign, expecting to collect hundreds of kilograms of rubbish from the foreshore. The area has been identified as one of many litter hotspots across the region.
We're finding all sorts of small pieces of plastic, children's toys, straws, packaging from our chips and chocolates end up in our stormwater system and then wash down into our estuary, which is quite horrifying when you see it on this magnitude.
Rubbish doesn't end up in places like this by accident. It's usually carelessness and negligence. So if people could just put their rubbish in the bin, that would go a long way towards making our foreshore more beautiful.
More than 100 tonnes of rubbish is estimated to enter the river through stormwater drains each year. To some developing news now, and a person has been rushed to hospital with serious injuries following a motorbike crash at Wivenhoe. It's believed a motorbike and a car collided on the corner of the Bass Highway and Stowport Road just after 4 p.m. One person has been taken to the Northwest Regional Hospital with serious injuries. The intersection has now been reopened to westbound traffic. A return to bumper crowds is tipped for tomorrow's Launceston Cup, with the main race reverting to an earlier time slot. The prediction comes on the back of a record-breaking Magic Millions sale, which saw the top colt sell for $115,000.
The cream of yesterday's Magic Millions crop once grazed on this grass at Armidale Stud, but even managing director David Wishaw was a little surprised by his colt's price tag.
We knew he was hot, but we didn't see 115 coming.
The colt was the crown of the Magic Millions, which fetched a record $3 million in sales, although it takes 3 years of work and a frantic final few weeks of pampering to clinch that top dollar.
They're fed morning and night, they're rugged and groomed every day, and they really go from being an animal that's out there running in the wild with their mates to it's I guess their first real education into being a horse and being a racehorse.
A successful curtain raiser naturally builds excitement for tomorrow's Cup. Attendance is expected to comfortably top last year's, partly owing to the Cup's return to an earlier time slot of 5:05. Plus, there's the headline act EastEnder, which has the chance to earn an extra $100,000 if she can back up her Hobart Cup victory.
But she's got some pretty stiff opposition here. There's a few good horses from the mainland, and a Godolphin horse called Etymology is one of the last three over there in good company, so it's pretty tough.
Armidale Stud hopes it can have another win with the Bill Ryan trained Speed Force.
He'll give it his all. He's a very honest horse. It's his first run in the Cup, and I'd hope you'll see him finishing strongly. And if he doesn't win this year, I think he'll be very competitive next year.
Tom Johnson, 7 Tasmania News.
She spotted a potentially cancerous mole after a talk at her school, and now student Lucy Jones has the floor when it comes to the risks of being in the sun. Today, the Year 12 student was a powerful voice of caution at a SunSmart workshop in Launceston. In 2017, she had a precancerous mole removed after attending a similar talk at her school. It's now hoped other students will become SunSmart champions and inform others of the dangers.
I think I'm very lucky because in a year's time the doctor didn't know whether it would turn into a skin cancer or not. So I'm very grateful that the Cancer Council did take the time to come talk to me and the students at my school.
Melanoma is the third most common cancer for males and females. Australia-wide, 2 in 3 Australians will be diagnosed with skin cancer by the age of 70, so it is quite common.
If detected early, the first 5-year survival rates of skin cancer are greater than 90%.
To cricket, and the Tasmanian Tigers have pulled off a thrilling last-minute victory against South Australia a short time ago in their Sheffield Shield clash in Adelaide. Starting the day on 2 for 132, a 150-run effort from Jake Weatherald saw the Redbacks set things up for a stalemate before Jackson Bird began to tear through the home side's order, taking 7 wickets to see the Tigers back in bat after tea and chasing 110 runs for the win. Alex Doolan and Jordan Silk quickly got to work at the crease before Doolan was dismissed on 19. Charlie Wakeham continuing his impressive first innings form to get the Tigers back on track. But a brain fade saw his day done on 22, with the visitors in need of something special with stumps fast approaching. The side skipper providing it with some late boundaries before Ben McDermott stepped in to seal the 6-wicket win.
Good evening. A bit of a drop in temperatures from yesterday over most areas. Numbers in the north, though, up on average. Launceston the state's high with 29, Hobart just 18, Burnie 25 and Devonport 21. A little light drizzle over the southeast today with cloud persisting over the south. Flinders Island 26 degrees, Smithton and Ouse 23, Lowhead 22, St Helens and Grove 21, King Island and Strawn 19 degrees. We have mentioned the cloud over the south and east today, and here it is due to an onshore flow over Tasmania. Now, a cloud band with a trough is near our northeast, with high cloud through western Queensland and New South Wales, some low cloud over coastal New South Wales and Queensland. Tomorrow the high moves over Tasmania with a ridge persisting over Queensland, a broad area of low pressure over most of the rest of the mainland. Southwest to southeasterly winds at 10 to 20 knots, more easterly through Bass Strait and becoming variable during the morning over the east and south. Now for tomorrow, a mostly sunny 23 for Hobart, cooling down to 9 this evening, 6 overnight for Geeveston, 23 tomorrow and 25 for Bothwell. Launceston Cup Day, cloudy and 23, just 10% chance of a shower or two first thing in the morning. Cloudy in Devonport, 21 and 24 the top for Cressy. Burnie can expect 21 degrees and a possible early shower, partly cloudy for Strawn and mostly sunny on King Island, Curry 21. 20 the top for St Helens and cloudy, Swansea 22, a high of 20 for Orford. UV at 8s and 9s and very high. On Thursday, fine until light showers develop over the northeast later. Warming up on Friday, the chance of a shower early over the east though, and on Saturday a hot sunny day as summer pushes into the first couple of days of autumn. A sunny 32 in Perth tomorrow, a hot day ahead for Adelaide, fine and sunny for Melbourne and Canberra, and a possible shower forecast for Brisbane. And here are our current conditions, fairly fine and sunny across the state. Rach, I don't know who's taking the Launceston Cup home tomorrow night, but I certainly know who's taking it home tonight. See you.
Just don't drop it. Thanks for that, Murph. That's all your news for now. Good night.